Hello, Saskia, devotional goddess. Today, I want to speak about honoring our emotions. I want to share with you that over the last month or two, I've been watching my sugar intake for a while, and I've had a tough, sugar's my thing. Sugar is my drawer. I don't used to smoke many, many years ago. Managed to nip that and release that. Never got into coffee. Wine, alcohol doesn't really do it for me. Used to do it socially, but since being a single mother, I've had no desire to sit on my own and have a glass of wine. That's never been of interest to me. But for me, it's always been sugar. And part of me, when I hear about people who are sugar-free, I'm in awe. Just like, wow, how'd you do that? To me, it's something amazing that they can abstain. And I've gone back and forth, but I've never been able to sustain it. But I aspire to do that. I aspire to have natural sugar and to take or leave, and generally leave, processed sugar. That's something that I would like for myself, especially, having been through cancer and knowing that cancer loves that sugar, loves that spike. And just for my overall health and well-being, we all know, if we choose to admit it, we all know sugar's not good for us. Processed, manufactured sugar. So that's something that I'm aspiring to. So I've just been witnessing it, and especially, this last year or so, and especially over the last couple of months, more so. And just witnessing and practicing and not berating myself or not being hard on myself if I notice I have gone for some cookies, and just being mindful not to have the judgment be present and just enjoy it and accept it and be like, okay, that's all right, so be it. And listening to when I need to stop and not be like, well, I've started now, might as well finish the pack. Still if there's, a couple left, still walking away. And saying, doesn't matter, it's fine that you leave 2 in the pack. Because in the past it would have been, well, there's only 2 left, might as well eat them. So witnessing what my desires are. And witnessing when I do indulge or do have just a couple of pieces of chocolate or the whole bar or whatever it is, and just witnessing it. And a friend gifted me a facial a while back. She says, you need some pampering. I'm gonna gift you a facial. And it was just a wonderful gift. And she had said that the way your chin can pucker can be a telltale sign, the lines that come on the chin when she touched it or pressed it or something, is a sign for possible, a pre-diabetic sign for down the road. So, me being me, that loaded that up a little more of like, see, you can't have sugar. You can't be doing this. So again, it was this dance within me of like, what a gift. Someone has alerted that is a possible outcome in your future. You don't have sugar, huge amounts of sugar, but you have it so that your body, it's not optimal. I'm aware of that. I know that. But this gave another insight. But it also gave me that other side of the coin of I could have used that to berate myself. But I also can hold it to witness, gosh, what a gift. I've been shown something that's on the horizon, and I heard it. I didn't sweep it under the carpet. I don't want to hear that. Shut it down. Which I know I've done in the past with other things. There's only so much we can hold at one time. And my journey has very much been the last 3 to 5 years. I want to see my truth. I want to see the truth. And the truth is not comfortable. And sometimes we're not ready to see the truth. I know it in my yoga practice. I see it with my students in their yoga practice. Being in truth is not comfortable. And I weave this in to my yoga classes because it is a prime example for us to witness. In the very simple act of when we're doing movement, I often have my students doing leg stretches. We're lying on our backs and one leg is up in the air. And I ask everyone to straighten their legs. But sometimes in order to straighten the leg, it needs to be further away from the body. And that can be a harsh reality for us to see of like, I don't want to admit that my hamstring is so tight that my leg has to be that even further away from my torso. It's already far enough away. So there's that dance that we already do when we're in yoga class of bearing witness to the truth, but not really wanting to see it. So often my students, and I know that from my past, often my students bend their knee slightly in order to bring their leg closer towards them, to ease that reality of, oh my God, my hamstrings are really tight. This is not, and I'm having a really intense sensation at the same time, and being confronted with the fact that my leg is so far away from my body. These are areas where we don't want to see our truth. I weave it into class and start to, for those who are ready to hear, plant the seed of saying it's okay, it's safe to be in your truth. Your leg isn't as flexible as you would like it to be. Your hamstrings are tight. That's okay. You're here to open up your hamstrings and to create more flexibility, more strength, more agility within your body. It is a journey. And this is my practice to teach this, but also to live it and allow that dialogue to be present for me too. So that's what I've been doing with my sugar. This weekend, I was on a Zoom meeting with other healers, and we're preparing for an amazing training that's coming in March 2024. More to come on that closer to the date. But something was said that suddenly gave me insight into my sugar eating. Now, I've known for years, sugar is a desire for a sweetness, literal sweetness. So where was I missing the sweetness in life? Where was I missing that desire to have that love, that joy, whatever the sweetness was? So I was aware of that, and it's like, okay, yeah, all right, I know. Where's my sweetness in life? Look around. But what happened at the weekend, the insight that I got, was that I got to pinpoint it. Now, I know for myself, when I pinpoint something, there's a release. And for me, being a water body, I have a lot of water in my astrological chart. I've always been weepy. Anyone who knows me knows that. Over the years, through the yoga, I've learned to contain that emotion. And I've also learned to honor it. Because when I allow the tears to come forth, no matter how uncomfortable or inappropriate the situation perceives to be from my perspective, if I honor it and allow it to come out, when I put words to it, either through writing or through verbalizing it, it is allowed to move through and be released. I allow that uncomfortable, fearful, vulnerable, painful emotion to rise. And in doing so, it releases to allow for the next layer to come forth, right? They say that growth, spiritual journey, it's like peeling the onion. You're going to cry, but then you get to the next layer and the next layer, and they get thinner as they go because they're more elusive, they're more subtle, but we get juicier as we go in. We get more liberated. We become more peaceful every time we allow for another layer of shedding. So my insight was that when I put my girls to bed and I crave that sugar and I sit there and I stand or I sit and I inhale, it's not every night, but every now and then, however many cookies. It's because I don't have a partner with which to share this with. This parenting journey, I miss, and it was important for me to see that, because now it's not going to hold me captive anymore. Now I can bring it to the surface, those moments, and it was so subtle. It wasn't an obvious emotion that's been staring at me in the face. It's more of a subtle, because I feel so blessed to have these beautiful girls, to have this joyful experience with them, to laugh with them, to play with them. I'm so grateful for them in my life and to have the opportunity to be their mother. There is so much gratitude in that, and that I have healthy children. I'm present to all of that gratitude, and that I am healthy and here and able to be their mother. So that's why it's not an obvious pain that I have around it. It's a more subtle, because I feel so grateful for what I have. But the sadness that was there, and that still is, I'm still conscious of it, but I know it's temporary. But the sadness is that I'm not with their father. I don't need to be with their father. I don't need to be with the man, with the children's father. But I'm not with their father. I don't know if that makes sense. We're not a unit. And I have not experienced sharing my children with my partner and relaying stories and just being present with them. And I needed to honor that sadness exists. And once I allowed it to come forth, I could set it free. Honoring our emotions, as vulnerable as they are, as they make us feel, liberates us. But in the beginning, when we start on our journey, we don't know that. And it just feels incredibly scary to allow those emotions to rise. My yoga journey was pivotal for me on that, allowing me to experience how it feels to feel physically strong. When I began to feel physically strong, being able to hold my body in yoga postures, I could go a level deeper and start to understand that I was emotionally strong, that I was mentally strong, Well, first of all, it's physical, and then it's mental, and then it's emotional, and then it gets more subtle. And the strength builds from within, not only through the practice of being physically strong, the practice of being mentally strong, the practice of being emotionally strong, but just the act of showing up again and again, especially once you first realize that by facing your fears, facing the emotions, it does set you free. It does allow for another release in the physical, the mental, emotional bodies. Sometimes subtle, sometimes palpable. And you build your courage. You need to have courage to take those first steps. And when you do, because when you first take those first steps, you're entering into the unknown. All you know are your habits and your tendencies in what you've done in the past. But you also know that those habits and tendencies from the past doesn't serve you anymore. And it's so painful that you also, let me speak from my experience. And when I say you, I've seen it in my clients, but I will speak from my experience. That every time I chose to do a new way, even though it was unknown, even though it was scary, I gained a little more courage. I gained a little more strength. I gained a little more pride in who I was, in the courage that I had within me. A little more dignity, a little more self-respect, a little more self-love. All of those layers. Because for a long time, I had no respect for I didn't have much respect for myself. It's not that I didn't have any. I did. But I couldn't trust in myself to hold myself accountable. And when I tried to hold myself accountable, it was with a sledgehammer. It was a berating voice. It wasn't a loving, kind, comforting voice. And as I've continued on this journey to cultivate softness, compassion, love, patience, I've been able to cultivate and embody them. And I have a long way to go. I have more to do. But it's softer. And when I witness the inner voice being harsh, I can also meet it with neutrality or softness more quickly. Not necessarily from the get-go, but it will follow soon thereafter. And that's what also begins to happen. We don't necessarily stop berating ourselves. We don't necessarily stop. I love this. This is how my yoga teacher used to say. It's our inner quality control. And that took away some of the harshness. It's like, oh, okay, you're my quality control. Thank you. I feel strongly about that. All right, that's why I'm behaving in my mind. That's why my dialogue in my mind is so strong around this. It means a lot to me. Okay. What actions do I now need to take in order to create change? So be patient with yourself. And be open to cultivating the witness observer. Now that takes time, that takes patience, but it takes a choice. It takes you making a choice to make a change, to choose again, to witness, oh my gosh, yesterday I was really hard on myself. All right, I forgive myself for that. I'm going to choose again, now in this moment, even if it's a day later, even if it's a week later, even if it was 10 years ago, or if it was 2 minutes ago. I didn't know better then, but I'm choosing. I know better now, and I'm choosing to take action differently. Because sometimes we can know better, but we still aren't ready to change it. And that's part of the journey too. I hope this has been helpful. Become the witnesser, the witness. And decide, who do you want to be? Find that loving, nurturing self and allow that to be birthed within you so that you can be in a more content environment internally. Because it's a lot more fun here. It's lighter, it's freer, and it's more peaceful. And it's neutral in moments. And those moments grow as we practice. Many blessings. If you find that you need help or assistance in these teachings, book a private. It will be my honor, my pleasure to work with you. Much love.